Total rewards is a philosophy. Total rewards is a discipline. The hard part about total rewards is I find that every company does define it slightly differently, and that's okay. And so really it comes down to speaking to your employees about your rewards program in a way that they're going to understand.
For World at Work and WorkSpan TV, I'm Ryan Johnson. I'm joined in the studio today by longtime World at Work volunteer and advisory board member John Bremen. John, welcome.
Hi, Ryan. Thanks. Great to be here.
I want to talk about your article that you wrote with Tom McMullen last year in WorkSpan in 2010. It was a two-part article, June and July of 2010, about the future of total rewards. It's got a tremendous amount of hits on our website. Maybe I'll just throw out the easy question and let you talk about the premise of the article and how it came about.
The advisory board targeted total rewards as a key issue the last 3 years. So we thought there was a great opportunity to combine sort of our experiential efforts with the advisory board's research to try to help World at Work's membership sort through a few different things. Number one, what do we mean by total rewards? What's included, what's not? Number two, how companies are using total rewards. And maybe most importantly and intriguingly, what's the future of total rewards? What it's going to look like in the future?
So I'm out and about speaking about total rewards regularly. I know you are, and I'm evangelizing, if you will, about World at Work's total rewards model, which now dates back to 2005, I believe.
Archaic, yes.
2006. And the feedback that I get frequently is, it's a terrific model. We do something slightly different. It's usually what the comment is. Are you finding the same thing, that total rewards is unique to each organization?
The hard part about total rewards is I find that every company does define it slightly differently, and that's okay. It's not like base salary that has a specific component meaning to it. Total rewards is a philosophy. Total rewards is a discipline. So whereas one company might define total rewards as all of the various elements of the work experience, including things like culture and leadership and performance management and succession planning, other companies might say, no, it really is just the more quantitative aspects of our program. It's compensation and benefits as we know it, and that's okay. It's okay to have both definitions out there because it really is in the eye of the beholder. And what Tom and I accepted very early on was that it's actually appropriate for total rewards to vary by company because each company needs to develop a philosophy around total rewards and a structure that makes sense to its workforce. So if you have a very analytical workforce that really does value the more tangible aspects of compensation and benefits, you might not want to waste a lot of time on these other pieces. But if you have a workforce that's a little more contextual, that appreciates work-life balance, that appreciates a work environment, your company's brand, your leadership style, your messaging, and all of the different components that we really see today more broadly, then that's appropriate. And so really it comes down to speaking to your employees about your rewards program in a way that they're going to understand.
We often do case studies in WorkSpan magazine. Readers really love to read about what actual companies are doing. You sit in a bit of a unique position because typically when we ask people what they're doing that's innovative, it's difficult for them to get their head around it because they've been doing it, right?
Sure.
Even if they've been doing it for maybe 6 months, they think, well, it's not innovative, we've been doing it for 6 months.
Sure.
But you're in a bit of a unique position, John, so I'm just curious, if you can name names, if you can think of some interesting examples, maybe without names. Either way, what are some of the innovative companies doing with total rewards right now?
Well, one of the companies that I am able to talk about because we talked about at a client conference was Medtronic. And at client conference, Scott Sherman from Medtronic and I spent a great deal of time talking about what I think is an important principle in the future of total rewards, which is tying together the employee value proposition with total rewards. There are some people who believe total rewards is an element of employee value proposition. Some people see them sitting side by side, and some people think they're linked but not really interdependent. And what I think some of the more forward companies are doing is really trying to understand that relationship. And what they're doing, and Scott talked about this beautifully at conference, was we're asking our employees, we're asking our associates what's important to them. We're doing more than just looking at our competitive benchmarking. Competitive benchmarking is critically important. We need to know where we are, but who cares if you're at the 75th percentile in an element if your employee population doesn't value it or takes it for granted? So I'd say the more progressive companies, Ryan, are really finding ways to engage their workforce in the dialogue about what's important to them and reacting by developing a compelling employee value proposition that's kind of total rewards plus. And that's what I think is exciting. I'm not at liberty to mention specific company names beyond that necessarily, but I'll tell you that a fair number of our clients are doing that. They're trying to either morph total rewards into employee value proposition, or they're saying, well, they're separate, but here's how they connect. Because if you don't connect them, we promise you your employees will. And in fact, Scott had a great line at conference. He said, how many people here don't have employee value propositions? And it was a trick question because a number of people raised their hand. The reality is we all have employee value propositions. The big question is who's defining it, you or your associates?
I think one of the things we've learned in the last couple of years with the economy is that this concept of total rewards really does resonate, maybe even more importantly, when the economy goes down, because the employers need to use different levers to attract, motivate, retain. As it seemingly we're on the back side of this, or maybe on the front side, I should say, of the recovery. Do you think that companies should be doing anything differently today versus maybe 2 years ago when the economy was headed down? Theoretically, the economy's headed up now.
I look at total rewards as a portfolio. It's almost like having a portfolio of investment vehicles that in different economic conditions, you focus on different things. Are you focusing on growth? Are you focusing on value? Are you focusing on risk mitigation? And the reality is total rewards components act the same way. In cyclical economic downturns, where we're more focused on sort of cost management, productivity, and retention, certain elements of total rewards are more prominent in that equation. Certain things that create reduced risks for associates or that may be cost effective help us. Versus periods of growth, other aspects suddenly become more important. Things like upside earning opportunity, things like wealth creation, things like flexibility and lifestyle. And so I would say yes, in a changing economy, the more innovative companies are finding a way to adjust their portfolio, just as they are with their investments. So goes the economic cycle.
Well, John, a terrific conversation about what innovative companies are thinking about today with total rewards. I want to thank you for doing everything you do for World at Work, advisory board service, writing, speaking here, and at the conference. And again, thanks to John Bremen for being the guest in the studio today. For World at Work and WorkSpan TV, I'm Ryan Johnson.